Hello! Okay, back today with the next mobility routine in the series. So you should be progressing nicely now, ready for this next routine. Feeling a lot more looser, a lot more agile, and a lot of them aches and pains should have disappeared. This one can also be used as active recovery in between your main workout days. So, just follow your bespoke calendar schedule there and you'll know exactly what to do. But the first exercise we're starting with is a pogo jump. So the idea behind the pogo jump is you're nice and loose. It's almost like just shaking out any tension, which is why this one's great for active recovery as well as a warm-up. So it's almost like you're just shaking that muscle off the bone. You're not holding any tension, nice and relaxed, nice and loose. So, even with the legs there, just shaking the muscle off the bone, nice and loose. Shake, 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 but then we add that pogo jump. So it's nice and gentle, bounce and shake. No tension, as opposed to a star jump or jumping jack where there's an element of tension there because it's an exercise move. You can feel that resistance. This one is kind of non-resistance, nice and loose. Shake it out. Should feel really good. Brilliant. And then we are going to move on to walkouts, which we know. So we're going to find that froggy position, touch the toes, walk out into a push-up plank. Now I'm going to do 3 of these. Touch the toes, put your head on the wall, plank position aligned, back to toes, froggy, stand up, tense the butt, push through from the hips, there's extension. One more. Now on the 4th one, I'm going to walk out into a downward dog. So, this one, instead of a plank, I'm going to open up my stance. You don't want to be too narrow on this one, a little bit wider than hip width, and ideally over time we're looking for flat palms, flat feet, but don't force it. So what you'll be feeling now is probably a lot of tension all up this posterior chain, and as we know, if we spend long periods in flexion, all that back line gets tight. So hamstrings switch off, glutes get tight and so on. So what you may find is even the back of these knees and calves may be tight, so you can actually bend the knees slightly. What we don't want to do is kind of round this back. Don't want any tension on this lower back, this lumbar. So I've got a nice aligned back, as opposed to round, if that makes sense. 4 points, and I'm looking to get the coccyx bone pushing up vertical to the sky as my forehead eases towards my knees. And over time you'll get straight leg, back of the knee tension, but we don't want to straighten them legs up and lose the integrity of our back alignment. So what I'm saying there is I've got that nice alignment, coccyx up, head down, hold that stretch, find that biting point, and all we're going to do, because it's mobility movement, eyes up, upward dog, prone cobra, knees are off the mat. 1, 2, 1, 2. In. Eyes up, vertebrae in the neck, out. Back to your downward dog. So we're going to do about 5 of those to start, and then you put the knees down and you're in your prone cobra, and then we just come back into our child's pose. So you can see how we've progressed from starting walking out to child's pose. Now we're walking out to a downward dog. So this child's pose is very similar to this downward dog, but obviously where the feet, the knees are off the ground, it's more body weight, so it's going to get your metabolism firing, the rate at which you're burning calories and fat and so on. So that's why it's also really good for a active recovery day. That way your metabolism is constantly firing while you're aiding recovery. So from there, child's pose to prone cobra, so we'll do this with a bit of tempo. Now we do our rotations, drop the right hip, look over the left shoulder. So that downward dog may feel a bit awkward to start with. Again, there's an element of strength there, moving your body weight around, but you should be ready to progress to it now. Even if you just do 1 downward dog to 1 upward dog. 1, 2, and then build it up over time. But you should have that strength and mobility to hold that position now without affecting your posture and alignments and so on. So we're looking for a nice V shape in that downward dog as opposed to rounded. So from there, we're moving on. I'm going to drop the hips, back to the frog position. I'm now going to stand up and I'm going to throw in some hip circles, which we know. Those hips should be a lot looser now. The 4 points, remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just put them in a circle. So about 8 to 10 each way. And then we'll move on to our hinges, which should feel a little bit looser now you've hit the hammies, all that posterior chain, lats and so on in your downward dog. Hinging from the hips. And again, as it feels a little bit looser and warmer, you can pick that pace up. So now we're moving on to our reaches, which we know. But this is the progression now, so I'm just going to adjust that so like this you can see what I'm doing. So now we're going to add a little step and reach. So usually we're just static, our feet are planted, then we're reaching. And you can feel your lateral stretch. Again, keeping good alignment, you're not rounded. So you should be alternating these as I'm chatting. Now what we're going to do, next thing is I'm going to step to my right, and reach to my left. So instead of just being static, there's a slight move, subtle movement. It's not a lunge, it's just a step. 1, 2, 1, 2. As I step, I reach. 1, 2. 1, 2. And what you'll find is with that movement, that's what mobility is. As opposed to static stretching, that feels really good. And you can really push that hip out, elongate, but you're not forcing. And I'm going to change sides. Not alternating yet. Work one side at a time, and that side feels a little bit tighter. So spend a little bit longer. Relax the breathing, you're not straining. Brilliant. And then our next one is the 4-point rotation. But I'm going to add that step again. So, subtle step to my right, rotate to my left. Now you can do with straight arms, but I'm going to do with bent arms, almost like I'm driving my elbows. And what you'll find is different parts of the back, but again, also because I'm trying to stay in shot, and if I go straight arms, I'm going to smack my hands against the wall. So elbows, bent arms, and it's more upper back, more thoracic. So it's a good one to start with anyway. Elbows at shoulder height. Step right, rotate left, and you're rotating from that rib cage. You can even look with it if you want. Brilliant. And swap sides. And again, might hear a bit of crack in there. That's all right, as long as there's no pain. It should feel good. You should feel that there's more movement there. And rotation always feels great. Brilliant. Okay, so the next one is shrugs, but we're going to incorporate this elbow circle. So I'm just drawing a circle with the elbows, forward to back, and as I draw that circle, shrug my shoulders, shrug those shoulders, keep your chin up, 4 points, pick that pace up, and then we're just going to ease that into a double backstroke, just so you can see what I'm doing. So we've gone from shrugs to backstroke. Brilliant, and then we'll move on to chest openers, which we know, crisscross, push the chest out, squeeze those shoulder blades together, extension, alternate that crisscross left, right, left. You can throw a few different angles in, 45-degree angles. And the next one from there is I'm going to incorporate this one in now, this new one, for the lats. So one arm is up vertical, bicep near the ear, the other one is down, and you just alternate them. 1, 2, 1, 2. What you'll find is you'll get a bit of these lats, a little bit of pace, good posture. Can't see my hands, but I'm just reaching up there, reaching up to the sky, keeping the arms straight. Now if your shoulders are tight, you may struggle to get them back in line with your ear, but as mentioned, if you're following all your other stuff, you should be progressing nicely. Great job. Next one. Back to our pivots. So all these should be familiar now, but you should just see and feel these extra progressions, how we're pushing them on a little bit. Now all I'm going to do is start dropping my elevation. So it's the same pivot, so I pivot to my left, pivot that right foot, and alternate, but now as I pivot, I'm just going to drop the back knee down. 1, 2, so as I come to my left, drop the right knee, as I come to my right, drop the left knee. And you should have that balance and stability now. As you're dropping down, you should put a bit of hip and thigh. Brilliant. Next one, feet, heel to toes again. Revert back to heel to toes. Just trying to stay in shot here. Headless again. Heel to toes. Slight hinge going on. And you can even do like a little bicep curl as well if you wanted to get that elbow joint warmed up. Great job. Revert back to our knee circles, feet together. Draw that circle. Don't force it. Slight hinge going on. Clockwise. And it feels a bit loose. You can go a little bit lower, but not too low. Just almost like a half squat. And then change direction. A little bit lower. Clicking is good, as long as there's no pain there. Knee circles. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the adductors. So we've got our hinge, as we know. One's bent, one's straight. So I'm just checking the next one on the list because we're filming quite a few here. Yeah, so it's hinge, chin forward, glutes back, knee in line, not pushing out too far laterally, more of a hinge. Just have to have a little reminder there because I'm filming a couple today. So there's our adductors. Now we're going to move back to the squat. Sit back. 1, 2, 1, 2. Pick that pace up a little bit. Sitting back nice and low on these. Brilliant. And now I'm going to revert back to the walkout. And I'm going to find my push-up plank position. So that was our downward dog. Remember that we introduced plank position. This is called a cannonball. So I'm going to bring my feet together, a little bit closer together. And all I'm going to do is bend my knees and bring my butt, my glutes, back towards my heels. Head down. So it's basically the child's pose with your knees off the floor. So it's plank. Bend the knees, bring your glutes back to your heels. It's called a cannonball because you're shooting out the cannon. And you should feel a nice stretch as you bring that back. Quite challenging as well, strength there. You just bring the knees down. Back to child's pose. Come forward. And we'll incorporate the thigh stretch again. On the side. Up and down. Sorry, it starts with easing it back. So this left one back in line with the right one, remember, back and forth. Keeping good alignment, you're not all hunched in. Easing these thighs back. And all I'm going to do there is I'm going to just lift it up now. That was the progression, the next bit. Up and down. Left one is in line with the right one. Brilliant, I'm just going to swap there. So we'll start with back and forth. Now they're pretty good, pretty loose, these thighs. Up and down. Brilliant. And then from there, I'm reverting back to my spinal wave, which we know. Foot roll. Tummy against thighs. Chest and tummy. Keep looking down. Keep that bend of the knees. Neck and head coming up. Keep the chin to chest. Neck and head, sorry, at the very last minute. Into extension. And then we'll finish that off with 10 star jumps now. So we are now ready for our main workout, which is why we're adding then star jumps in. There you have it. So that is the next warm-up variation as well as active recovery. So get stuck into your main workout and I'll see you next time.